I had this white tie and a black shirt, and I was feeling like the most gangster guy in Nairobi. The juice, guys. It's time.
So guys, welcome to another episode of mantalk.ke. This is a fun one, Oscar. This is a fun one. Today we're talking about our younger self. There's going to be some good stories. I'm going to get some stories out of you.
No, you're the one who's going to give all the juice.
All the juice? We'll juice each other. Pause.
That was odd.
So that was odd. So because I feel like this is my theory. I feel like your past informs your future, right? So if you were like an aggressive kid, like an angry kid, that can maybe inform how you are as an adult. If you're a fun kid into certain things, that might inform your career path. So you being a lawyer now, how do you think that is informed by your childhood? I want to know what you were like as a kid. Yeah.
There's no relationship.
There's none.
There's none. I honestly can't sit down and say when I was a kid I thought I'd end up a lawyer. I honestly can't. The thing that I remember being as when I was a child, when I was like a teenager, is very inquisitive.
Yeah.
I was born in a publishing house. So like I was born in a place where there was a lot of books, a lot of movies.
Yeah.
So I grew up around that environment. Very American. So American film, American books, Mark Twain. So a lot of that, the Adventures of Huck Finn, all that sweetness. So like I always had that adventurous spirit, that kind of wild side. So when as I grew into a teenager, that kind of manifested playing the game of basketball, the hip hop, you know what I mean, like that was my vibe, but I still did have kind of an intimate relationship with knowledge, and I wanted to learn more and to be better, I had kind of achieved some things when I was a teen.
E.g., I'm curious.
Okay, so when I was, I think 13, 14, I was like top 10 in Kenya in KCP. So so like the weight of achievement was like already on my shoulders. So like
I feel like you thrived though. From knowing you, I feel like you would have thrived from that, like that pressure.
Nah, you would think so, but I can't lie and say that my high school academic years were like my best. And you're like, when you're coming from that type of success, there was still that like weight on your shoulders, like you want to keep proving yourself.
Got it.
And I feel like till today, that weight still rests on my shoulders, like you get.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I'd argue then that maybe it does, because it sounds like that literature is kind of what made you go into now reading law and being a learned friend, as they say. Being a learned friend. I think that when I was a teenager, for me, like I grew up in South Sea, and like that's the most free, expressive environment you can be in. I feel like because when I was growing up, I grew up around Isa, K-Rapt, like that musical community, Kleptomaniacs, Big Pin, that entire musical community that like started like the Kapuka. You might not know this, but I'm just nodding. I'm like,
let me.
Fantastic.
So Kapuka was like a genre of music when we were growing up that was like heavy,
serious,
and like it was a complete culture, the subculture of Nairobi, and that came from South Sea, where I grew up. So like girls used to skip singing the songs, and then if you're a guy and you saw a pretty girl at the shop, you go up to her, drop a few lines,
couple bars.
Like that's the environment we grew up, which is kind of playful, a community that loves and cares for each other. I think maybe that's why today then I have that sense of community.
I think it does. I'm curious, right? I always do this thing like every few years. I'll go on Facebook and I'll look at like, what did you turn into? Do you ever do that? Like you look at your like primary, secondary, and you're like, what did you? What happened to you? Then some friends have expanded widthways. Some friends have got kids now. Some friends have got like, the glow up. You see some glow up cases. Do you ever like predict that correctly? Because I go on there and I'm like, I didn't think that's how you were gonna end up, good or bad. I never get it right.
Well, let me tell you, when I was there's a group we used to have when we were kids growing up called 2KC. So like,
no way.
We had like.
Wait, was this a musical group?
No, it wasn't like a musical group.
B2K.
It wasn't like a musical group. It was just like a bunch of high school guys who like we'd send letters to each other, then hang out on holiday and
pen pals.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like, from one area, which is South Sea, Maradaima, down Mombasa Road. That Mombasa Road from Oilibia or from Capital Center going down. So like there was a lot of guys from there. We had a few friends from Kileleshwa as well. So like one of them is like a rapper. like a rapper musician, another is a lawyer, another is a doctor, another is like an engineer, like all these different people, like we started from that one place and now we've just grown in very different directions.
Yeah.
So like, so if you see this 2KC baby till we die.
2KC. That's actually quite a catchy name. I wish it was a rap group though. I'm gutted.
Yeah, fam, like I used to, like, I'm telling you, in high school, like I'd walk through, like I'd come from, let's say, a basketball game, and then when I leave the court, you say, hey, it's from 2KC, because it was like, it's me, baby.
Yeah.
So I grew up. That's how I grew up. Like my teenagers were very fun, very expressive, a huge sense of community, and like since I grew up in South Sea, there's a huge Muslim community there as well. So I'm very tolerant towards. I don't like hearing nonsense. You know what I mean? Like someone saying something smart about, let's say, the Somali community or people who are from Northeastern. Don't give me that nonsense. I'm not. I don't take that very lightly because I grew up with these people. And like I sat in their homes and we eat together and we spent time together. And just that tolerance for religion and a diverse group of people.
And they say exposure is key, man. I think exposure and being informed by other people's walks of life, that makes you a better person overall.
Your experience was my time.
Wait, I'm going to get to your teen years because I think what you did, you told me about the nice years. Like, I was a kid, I like my group. I want to get to the teen years because everyone goes through that coming of age bit. So for me, I think I talked about this in the November specials. For me, I was a kid. The only things I cared about was football, sport, like in general, fashion, and girls. That's all I cared about.
And girls.
Like, but that was like a
no. But that girls should have been capitalized, right?
No. That's like minimal. Serious. That's like in small font.
Talk to us about Sweden.
Yeah. So in terms of football, it's something that really informed me in terms of my competitiveness.
You come the question. Return. Eli, tell us about.
We've not got to our teenage years. Let me tell you about how my past informed my future.
We'll get there. I'm not letting you.
We'll get there. So I think as a kid, what kind of kid was I? I was like I said, all I cared about was like, clothes, sports, like, and just being an active child. So for me, everywhere I went, like, obviously we'll talk about exposure and where you grow up. Being the only black kid in every environment I was in, I could never just blend in. I had to, it worked for me in like for social capital, being the black guy was always the cool thing. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was on every night. I was the black kid, right? So that kind of what pushed me to the whole sport thing and fashion thing, because you had to be the reference point. Like, the black kid can't not be fresh. He can't not play sports, Luckily for me, I liked that anyway. So I was that kid, just going out after school. It used to just be, you come in, you get changed, you're eating, and you're just straight out again. Like, I was just active, constantly active. And I think that's where I got my competitive nature, like in terms of sport and always being in like a team environment type thing. And I see that happening now. Like, I hate losing. I just don't. It doesn't sit right with me. It doesn't sit right with me. So I think that's the only thing I would say I drew from like my childhood type thing. Yeah, just the competitive nature from sports. Yeah. Then obviously as you get older, I know what you're waiting for me to say. Yeah. As you get, your face was dead that whole time. You're like, okay, Sweden. No. So. Then I turned into. Okay, you're coming of age, right? I'll say mine first. I went through the most rebellious phase when I was So, because where I grew up was like very Christian, very like conservative, very well-to-do family. When you're in that environment, you want the opposite, don't you? So you just want to be madness. You're like, no, this is too calm, this is too perfect, too suburban, I want to just go. And so obviously when you get to 16, 17, we now moved to Kent, and I just flipped, I just changed. I was like, I'm out. Like, I'm done. I'm done. Yeah. So
running away from home.
Exactly. Yeah, literally I did for like a few weeks. And all I cared about in that like part of my life was like partying, spending money. And I think I'm so thankful for that period of my life, because I feel like when you get things out of your system, now when you're older and there's more to lose, there's none of that you want to bring to the table, Because I've done, well, not everything, but I've done most things now. So like I don't, like that's why I don't even go out to party, because I've done it. Like, I've done it. So we used to go abroad to Sweden.
The juice, guys. It's time.
We used to go. One of the periods when we were like late teens, early 20s.
Yes, tell us about
me
Sweden,
and my boys used to always just take little trips to like Europe, like little, Paris. We'll go to Sweden. And I don't know what you want me to say about Sweden, Oscar.
Just let me
we
know.
used to just go and enjoy ourselves in Sweden. It was a great place. Gothenburg was a fantastic city. There was a lake house we used to go to.
Lake house.
Lake house, yeah. With we'll just barbecue, and that's all I have to say on that.
Barbecue.
Yeah. Sure. How were you as a teenager, Oscar?
Yeah, he used to barbecue in a lake house, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean.
Oscar, so, I just don't think that's not. It's
so for me when I was a teenager. Now I tell you, mate, I would filter my dad.
Okay.
There was a little club called Club Ban. Club Ban. It's just next to Ngong Road. When you turn next to the race course, you know, I used to want to go there for the horses, but turns out, turns out, there was a lot more to Ngong race course than horses.
Yeah, like genuine. And pony.
So when my first rave when I was in Form 4, I remember I finished Form 4, gave my parents hell, saying I want to go out, I want to party.
Form 4, how old are you at that point?
I was like 17.
Same, exact same.
Yeah, 17.
Same. Yeah.
So like I was like, no, me, I don't want to hear the noise. No, all my friends are going, nah. So my dad, because my dad is an OG, shout out to Mbabu Senior.
Babu.
Yeah, you know, in the building. So he was like, come, put me in his car and said, I'll drop you. Like the whole way, he was like telling me, first of all, I want you to understand one thing. If anything goes on tonight, use protection.
Yeah. Well, we had that conversation.
We had that conversation.
That's so
that
important though.
When I was like being taken.
Yeah.
Then first of all, first of all, you boys look, so it was me and my boy called Michael who was sitting at the back.
Dripped.
Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I had this white tie. It's like the legendary white tie.
Yeah.
If you know me from those days, you know about the white tie. I still have the picture.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll share it on Man Talk.
Yeah.
So it was this legendary white tie. So I had this white tie and a black shirt, and I was feeling like the most gangster guy in Nairobi.
Oh,
you guys,
yeah.
And I had like 2,000 shillings in my wallet.
Jeez, come on, make it rain, Oscar.
You guys, don't make me mad. Buy you shots till you black out. Because these shots were like 150.
Oh no.
Yeah, 150. And I remember there was that time there were these really like ahead guys from Sunshine who had thrown that event.
Yeah.
I forget its name, but it was a really, really nice event. It came out in 2011, end of year 2011.
Yeah.
That was when that rave was there. So that end of year 2011, so we pull up with Michael. My dad is telling me, use protection. So when we were pulling up, I'll never forget, we're coming in through the driveway. So this chick sees us, like, you know, in this nice car. Same which car it is. So she sees us in this nice car. So my dad is on there like with a jacket and a hat. So this chick probably thinks he's like
the driver. Oh dear.
So like she comes, oh my god, you guys, you look so good. You know, oh my god, and you're coming, hey, do you party all the time? That time, here's what's even crazy. The tickets, because like South Sea had its own distribution for tickets for that particular event. We were the ones distributing the tickets. So that's how we were making back. So we had so other than the 2,000 like that parents have given you, like you had that money that you've sold tickets, and like you decided, no, I'll keep this much, then I'll give you that much.
And shots of 150, yeah? Oh my gosh.
You get what I mean? You got. When we pulled up to the scene, it was like in this, hey, I'll never forget it. I thank my father for that day. Like we pulled up to the scene like this, is like, be careful now. So this girl comes, says, what's up? So my dad tells me, remember, be careful. And don't come home drunk. Your mother doesn't like that. Get off the car. You know, we're walking in the streets, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, in fact, I'll never forget, in the club, they were playing, this is how we do.
Oh no.
So like we're just getting off the car. My boys with the red tie, I'm in the white tie. We're like, then we're not, because you have the AP, we're like, nah, we're not in the queue, man. So everyone in the club's like, what the hell, what these kids? And you know, I've always been tall, so like people thought like I was much older for my age.
Can't relate.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
Sorry. So like when we get in like this random, I take my tie. I'll never forget, I saw her, like the light hit her, and I saw this girl. Never met this girl in my life. Have no idea who she is. But like, you know, because you know you have that testosterone.
The white tie. Come on now.
So I take out my white tie, pull her in.
Oh, you're that guy.
I'm that guy.
You're that guy.
I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I'll pause the story there because parental guidance is advised. But anyway,
so that's the kind of
that was like that was the type of guy. I like straight out the gate. Like I loved. I spoke straight out the gate. That's how I was.
I think that's what I love about that story is it really gives us like a light into your mindset at that time, right? You're talking about like organizing, getting those tickets for people. That's the kind of Oscar I know now still, right? So your mindset then was, I want to put on a white tie, buy 150 shots, organize things, get gal, and that's good because you got it out of your system. Like, what advice would you give to that young Oscar? Like, in terms of where his mindset was and where he's going to be, would you say do something different, or would you say, bro, get it all out of your system?
I think for me, what I tell my teenage self is, at that time in the world, there was a lot of change happening. You might not have been aware of it, but like that was when Facebook had just started, Instagram, the social media world had just begun in Kenya, and in Africa as a continent as well. E-commerce had just started, and like it took me maybe 4 more years, a lot more experiences, like me going abroad to work, coming back, and all that. It took me a lot more time to realize that there's opportunities for the youth at that age. So if I was telling my teenage self what to do right now, it would be, you're a charismatic, capable young man, and you're able to do whatever it is you set your mind to. Whatever you do, is going to be fun, but also make sure that it's productive, so that like you can uplift others who are in your age who've not had the opportunities that you had, so they can be able to achieve their greatness. That would be my advice. Like, have fun, yes, and party, but like you are an outlier. So like take advantage of the opportunities that you have now, because like society is changing. Exactly. So if you position yourself early, man, you'd make it a lot more easier for the older guy. That's what I'd say.
That's the. I think similar for me. The only thing I would say, because my thing is, I mentioned being like you, like an outlier, like in terms of being the black kid. So because of that situation, I feel like I cared about people's opinions because I knew that they cared about mine, So I'd say to myself, just half these people you're with, you're not going to see them in another 10 years. Oh, that's do you know what I mean? I'd be like, why do you care about that opinion? Do you know what I mean? That's one thing I'd say to myself, relax. Like, you're good. Like, don't stress. Like, you don't have to always be the freshest guy, always doing this, right? The other thing I would say to myself is, when you're a teenager, and especially if like there's a bit of money in your pocket, like the arrogance that comes with that and the way you treat people sometimes. I won't lie, you talk about how VIP and stuff like that. That was a lifestyle me and my boys lived. Like, all we did is go out, spend money, and with that came a bit of arrogance and a bit of being a douche, right? At that age, even in terms of to girls and stuff. That's one thing I'd say, like, you don't have to be a bad person to have a good time. That's what I'd say. You don't have to be a bad person to have a good time. I feel like when I turned 19 is when I went to India for the whole community development thing. So that was coming. I feel like that was the epiphany for me for community service. And I, even at my younger age, I always used to go for old people's visits in high school, visit all the sick and stuff, service them. Primarily, it wasn't because, I won't lie, it wasn't because I was a charitable person. It was because it was a nice place to interact with girls. So I used to go. But like, the stories that I had in those, the final moments of certain men still stay with me. Those final moments like have remained with me ever since. Like, so there was a guy who, he just wanted to be prayed for every weekend. So when he'd sit with us, we'd pray with him, and just being with him in his final moments when I was very young. Wow, kind of taught me what matters in life. So I know that I'm old, I can now think about it. I can ruminate. Exactly. But what's really funny is in 10 years time we'll have this conversation again and we'll be like, wish I could tell that 27, 28-year-old man, doing man talk, la la la. So I'm curious to see how we turn out in another 10 years. But what I would say
I'll be a rich man. I'll be a rich man. I'll be a rich man. I won't look back and say you did stupid things. I'll be like, you put me on game.
Oh, 100%. I would change nothing. I would change nothing. I'd change nothing.
Change that. You should change nothing.
I'll change nothing. And on that bombshell, if you've been listening to it on YouTube, if you've been watching it as a podcast, other way around, if you've been listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube, I hope you've enjoyed. And I think we'll just say, like, if you're a teen, just do it all, get it out of your system, then start.
Change nothing.
Change nothing, though. Change nothing. See you on the next episode, guys. Cheers.